Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Today I'm going to be talking about burnout. Not the video game burnout, but burnout from playing too many video games. Smash JT. Now this is ironic coming from someone who absolutely loves video games. Always have from childhood and still do at this point in my life. I love playing video games. But around, I believe it was July or August 2017, I decided to take my YouTube channel full time because I'm putting my hand there because the sun is crazy. So see, woo. I decided to take my YouTube channel full time because I didn't want any regrets. I enjoyed making the YouTube videos. I enjoyed the interaction with the community. I had a lot of positive feedback. People told me I was really good at it, and it gave me purpose. I was recently laid off from my job and I found something that really fit with me. So I was like, okay, I'm doing okay. I can do better. Let me put a full-time effort into this. And by doing that, I started playing a whole lot more video games. And I've realized the unfortunate truth of how the algorithm is set up with YouTube. The hard truth is, retro gaming is just not as popular as what I'd like it to be. Which is unfortunate. If you want your channel to be successful, you have to go to where the people are. It's not a situation like it used to be, where it was like one of those, if you build it, they will come things. It's one of those, if you build it in line with what people want, they will come. And people will say they want retro gaming, but in reality, they don't. And I don't blame them. Because for me personally, I was like, you know, I enjoy retro games. I love playing all the old school stuff. But retro gaming is retro gaming. It will never change because the past is in the past. It's already happened. And all those videos have already covered every single angle of almost every single game ever created. So when it comes to making new material, you can't really focus on retro because it's already there. It kind of reminds me of the Truman Show when he was like, when the teacher was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, when I grow up, I want to be an explorer. And the teacher's like, oh, I'm sorry, Truman, you're too late. Everything's already been discovered. That's kind of what it feels like being a YouTuber trying to talk about retro games this day and age. So with that being the case, I was like, okay, let me move my focus onto retro and modern. That way I get the best of both worlds. It's not like I didn't like new games. So I was like, okay, I'll do both. That way I can focus on whatever I like. I can talk about what I like and possibly even grow my channel into something sustainable for the long term, which I've already been over many times. Do not go into YouTube trying to grow a business and create it from the ground up. You have to go into YouTube with wanting a passion out of it and not expecting anything in return. Fast forward to the time when I'm actually working on the channel full time and doing video game reviews, getting review codes, talking about these games day in and day out. I got to the point of being completely burned out talking about new games. I didn't have the time to fall in love with anything about them. It was just a churn and burn type state. And a lot of these big guys out there, which I'm not going to name names because I don't know how they feel. I'm not going to put words in their mouth. But I couldn't imagine someone truly enjoying themselves with video gaming when you turn it into a business. You almost become numb to the fact that the games are fun or not, and you're just more focused on these weird, like, oh, what's society gonna think about this? What are the pointers that people are gonna hate about this game, or what everyone's gonna be talking about, what they love about it, instead of, hey, I'm playing this game for me and I'm gonna enjoy it. Now, there are plenty of channels out there that do that still, like Tark Scottlet, Pelvic Gaming come to mind, but they do a lot of retro or older games too. So it doesn't bring in the amount of views that they deserve based off of the work that they put into the videos and the effort that goes into them. There's definitely not a direct correlation between how hard you work on YouTube and how successful you are. Unfortunately. If anyone has that weird misnomer that that's how it works, it's definitely not. You could work harder than anybody out there in the world, and your YouTube channel will still not grow because you're not focusing on the areas that the algorithm would be promoting it, which is truly unfortunate, because who knows how many top tier quality YouTubers came and went because it wasn't sustainable for how much time they were putting into it and what they were getting out of it. That's a whole different argument, by the way. I'm just kind of, it's a side story in my grand scheme of my video here. As far as why I was getting burnt out from playing different video games every single day, multiple times a day, it's just so hard to keep up with the trends. And I found myself, I don't want to say taking shortcuts, but just rushing through the experience just to move on to the next one instead of really savoring it. And that's not what YouTube gaming was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about sharing your love for the games and the experience you had playing it, what was transcendent about it, and having the conversation with the community about why you liked what you did, why someone else might have liked something else or disliked something else, and just having the conversation and learning more about who you are and what you've gained from the experience, if that makes any sense at all. My point being, when I was a game tester at Sony in San Diego, like 10 years ago, I would go in every day, at least 5 days a week unless it was crunch time, and play the same game every single day for what amounted to 3 to 8 months at a time per game, focusing on the QA testing from the ground up, doing smoke tests, making sure everything worked with it, doing the sound tests, the audio tests, the spell checks, everything, like all these little different areas about one particular game for 8 to 9 hours a day. Assuming there's overtime, it might have even been more than that, depending on, again, what time of the process you were in with it. So when I got home from work, the last thing I wanted to do was pick up a video game controller and play a video game, even if it was a different game. Like, for me, there's only so much gaming I can do before I'm tired and I want to do something else. That's not to say I don't love video games. It just means I like a little bit of variety in my life. Which brings me to last year when I was playing all these different games every single day. I thought the variety would be what was the key to success with being able to play video games, possibly start a business out of it, make some money, sustain myself, and do something I love. But it turned out to just be something completely different that I could have never imagined, which is just playing video games over and over and over again, and just reporting on what I thought about them and moving on to the next one, not savoring it, not really having a conversation with the audience anymore. It was, oh, I need to move on to the next game because this is what the algorithm is going to be talking about. This is what people want to hear about next. People don't want to stay stagnant and focus on the same game for very long. I mean, unless it's one of those Blizzard games. Blizzard's really good at creating a community that just talks about the same game all the time. But for the most part, the vast majority of video games are churn and burn. No matter how good they are here one day, gone the next. And one of my biggest issues with being a YouTube gaming content creator full-time was I couldn't even keep up with the releases during the heavy portion of the year. That's September through December. The release date schedule, every major heavy hitter was coming out. It felt like every other day there was a huge AAA title or indie game I've been looking forward to for a really long time. And that happened, it lasted for like 4 months. And I couldn't keep up with the release schedule at that point. And there were games that I missed out on that I really wanted to go back to, but I was so busy churning and burning what I thought would be the hot thing, the interesting conversation, what people wanted to hear about, that once the time had gone by, it was useless to pick up a game that was a few months old. Because if I picked it up, I'd play it, then I'd want to talk about it, and people would be like, oh, that people already talked about that game like 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Now you're talking about it? So just imagine if you do it the following year. Like, I wanted to play Sekiro, or however you say it, Shadows Die Twice. And it was during a really busy release schedule with a bunch of other games I was trying to play. So I didn't get a chance to get around to it. The same with Control. The same with Gears of War 5. The same with, I mean, you name it. There's so many great top tier games out there. Star Wars, that I haven't had the chance to play yet. And when I was doing YouTube full time, it was kind of like, well, you missed the window of when you can talk about that game. So you can never play that game because that's wasting your time on playing a game that just came out now that you could talk about and get more attention from. So my point with all of this is, if it wasn't obvious enough, it's unfortunate the way the algorithm's set up with YouTube gaming, where it focuses on what's now and even more so what's next. Because in doing so, you're unable to play games that you missed out on when you were keeping up with other games that came out at the same time. And that's truly unfortunate from a personal perspective, which is why being a YouTube gaming content creator, starting from scratch this day and age, isn't all it's cracked up to be. There are a lot of downsides to it. I mean, clearly this is a huge first world problem conversation. Like, oh my God, what a tough life. You sit at home and play video games all day. Like, there are people digging ditches and stuff. It's like, yeah, I also was falling way behind on my bills during the last 2 years, guys. Like, it's not like I was living on piles of money and just playing video games all day. It was a time of my life that was extremely challenging and stressful. But I wanted to make something out of what I loved so that I could have the best of both worlds. And it just doesn't work like that. People have told me I missed the boat, that I was good at YouTube, but I just didn't start my channel in time. I didn't have the right connections. I didn't know the right people that could promote it. I didn't get YouTube content creator, gamer on the rise, or whatever they do on Twitter. I didn't get any of that stuff. That's fine. I don't expect to. But that's what it's come to, being a content creator this day and age, where the only chance you have for success is getting recognized from an external source. People don't find you or locate you on their own anymore. They just can't. There's too many people in the sea of content creators to be able to do that. And that's what really sucks. Anyways, at this point, I'm just kind of rambling. I just wanted to throw my thoughts out there on why being a full-time YouTube content creator in the gaming zone isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I could only imagine the people that do it, how they truly feel about the games, if they are truly happy with their lives and where they're at right now, or if they prefer just to have a regular job and be able to play what they want at the end of the day, which is where I'm at right now, and I've never been happier. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash J, Smash J, Smash J.